So I have been curious about CERN. Do you know what that is, CERN? CERN is interesting. It is the European Organization of Nuclear Research. It's called CERN. There are about 25 members, and it's located in Switzerland. It's a European-based project that a bunch of scientists are working on. They've built these massive machines that have allowed them to do research into outer space. So, with this, they've learned how to time travel. They've learned how to open portals, open wormholes. They've learned how to manipulate timelines, time travel, quantum leaps. There's this show in the 90s we used to like to watch called Quantum Leap. It kind of makes me think that was probably true, that show. It is also where the World Wide Web was discovered through these tools. There's basically this big ring that spins really, really fast, times faster than the speed of light. And it's underground, it's buried in the earth. It's real. It's not fake. This is not fake news. This is real. They might not say that exactly that they're opening portals and wormholes and things like that, but that's what's happening. Okay. So I wanted to do a reading about CERN turning off. CERN has been on for many years and now it is turned off. So why suddenly turn it off? Well, they're saying they're doing maintenance and they're doing some modifications to the equipment. And so it's going to be turned off for 4 years until 2030. And then they're going to bring it back online. I'm pretty daggone concerned about it, to be honest with you. I feel a little nervous and a little scared. I'm not going to lie. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but it's like, what are we doing with? What are we playing with here? And so it sent me on a quest today, this morning, just to do some research. And I have discovered a few things that in particularly really resonated with me, and where we're going to take this reading is this is where they discovered dark matter. And it sounds like some sort of title to a scary movie. Um, the dark web wants to come to my mind. The web was, created from CERN so that these members could all talk together. The scientists created the World Wide Web just so that they could communicate with each other, but it became something so much huger than that. And so I discovered that they're doing research on dark matter, and I also discovered that 68% of the universe, it appears to be associated with dark matter. It is a force, an invisible force, a powerful force that holds things together, it's like a gravitational pull. It pulls things together and it holds them there. And it's dark matter because you cannot see it. It does not reflect light. There's the only way you know it's there is because of the gravitational pull. So you can see it doing something, but it's invisible. You can't see it. And it made me think about some things because it's associated with what would appear to be like a vacuum sucking things in so that it can create an expansion. So pulling particles together like a vacuum to create something new. And in this case, they're studying how it's creating new planets, new galaxies, stuff like that. But I was thinking, how can we, look at this on a practical level? Excuse me, a very practical level of dark matter in our lives, how things are mysteriously moving around and working out and creating new things in our lives, but we can't see it. It doesn't reflect light. It doesn't, you just can't see it. but yet it's still there and it's working. It's drawing you, it's keeping this body together in this spirit inside this vessel. It's also working for us in ways we don't know because it's hidden, it's in the dark. So I think what we're going to do is try to turn this into a object lesson and a teaching tool. Uh, like what in our life is being hidden? What kind of dark matter is actually working out for our best and highest good that we can't see going on? Before we do that, though, I got curious. Anytime you talk about CERN, you have to start questioning the Illuminati. So I have this Illuminati deck. The Illuminati, if you don't know what that is a secret society of world leaders. So I do feel like they are part of CERN because there's 24 members. And so I asked the cards of the Illuminati deck, what is it that CERN is doing at this time? It's something that we can see. We don't know how it's happening. Like we can't really see it happening, but we can see the results of it. And that would be weather modification. They said they can use it to modify weather. And we talked about HARPA before on this channel last week. I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, you know. I really believe there is dark matter and there's a lot of things that are hidden from us that are going on behind the scenes. And I'm the kind of person that wants to go in there and look and see. But the atmosphere is no longer solely nature's realm anymore. Advances in climate engineering give select hands the power to change what falls from the sky. The question is, should they? And that is a very, very good question. Should they? The reason why it was created, weather modification, was supposed to be for a good positive reading, because underneath that, we have water shortages. In areas where there are water shortages, wouldn't it be nice to have some rain? So what if you could go in there and modify the weather and create rain in drought, places of drought, on farmlands for farming? Um, that could be a good thing, right? But what if they use that as a weapon of mass destruction? What if something gets out of control? It's almost like we have this little thing in the back of our mind that there's something little sinister, like a wizard behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, that's pulling some buttons and messing with us, you know? Sometimes it feels that way. You know, and I'm not the only one here that doesn't know about the Georgia Guidestones, right? It says it in plain sight, the Georgia Guidestones. Look it up. They're in the United States in Atlanta, Georgia. I think they might have got destroyed. I can't remember. I think somebody might have torn them down. But anyway, an anonymous person, they'd been there for years. They're huge, huge, tall stones, and they have a message engraved on them that says, we must keep the population under a specific amount. We must, for the balance of the planet, of Earth. So then there comes in the idea of population control. And we see this. We have in countries like China, forced sterilizations. That even happened in the United States back in like the 50s and or earlier on. Forced sterilization, research on specific bloodlines. And I'm not going to go there because it's disturbing. Some of the research that they have about forced sterilization and eugenics is important here, where they're trying to create a certain breed and get rid of the ones that don't match what they think that we're supposed to look like. But that's not God, because God doesn't look the same. God is multifaceted. God is all the colors of the rainbow. God said, let us make man in our image. So that means there's many images of God, faces of God. But yeah, I think that I'm down for weather modification. They should for water shortages. And that's really the only reason why that they need to do that. There is a great awakening happening at this time. and everybody's feeling it. Okay. So we have awakened something inside of us. The veil is lifted across the world, revealing truths that were once hidden in plain sight. This is not a single moment, but a wave, rising within individuals and rippling throughout the collective. So we are all waking up, right? Look at this, you guys. I can't make this up. Climate change. The planet is undergoing profound shifts, yet forces may be at work to exploit this crisis for control. When the heat rises, the answers are below the surface. When the heat rises, the answers are below the surface. Where is CERN? It's below the surface. CERN is causing climate changes. It is. There's no way else to say it. Now, we have a supply chain meltdown here going on. Okay. This is a little concerning. These are like storage units that you would find, storage containers that you would find on uh, a a cargo ship. But what's interesting is there's a fire here. I was just talking to a client today at my pool store, and it's an older gentleman, and he goes, I'm just curious about how much that, tub of chlorine shock over there is. And I told him, he goes, man, they've really gotten them prices up there on that stuff, haven't they? And I said, well, yeah, they have. And I said, it started during COVID. He goes, well, that shouldn't have had anything to do with it. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe not entirely, just the fact that there was a factory shut down, so people weren't allowed to work and to make anything. So that could be, but if that's not a good enough answer, the freaking plant that makes pool supplies and chemicals, chlorine in particularly, to supplies the southern United States, burnt down the same time that COVID hit. What's this say? Supply chain meltdown. What happened during COVID? We had a supply chain meltdown. See those flames? That chlorine plant went up in flames. So during that time, during COVID, there was actually several mini fires that broke out at factory plants. Strange ones. It just seemed like a ring of fire to me. And now that I say a ring of fire, I'm seeing those earthquakes that just went down all across the Gulf of Mexico, the whole ring of the seismic ring of fire. There was like 4 or 5 earthquakes all in one day. Venezuela being the ones that got hit the worst. Interesting. So we also have a digital ID coming out here. A digital ID links your movements, transactions, and history into a single trackable profile. The more you identify is your identity is centralized, the more vulnerable you are to being switched off. Wow, that's powerful. Think about that. So I'm just asking, like, what does digital ID have to do with anything? And CERN. And then it says, I looked at it again, it said switched off is the last words I read. Digital ID being switched off. And I went, oh, we were sending out a signal, a digital ID from CERN, and we had to switch it off. Now, 1 second. That